Paulina's Way. Strengthen your mindset every week. Success story every Wednesday. Traders who broke through their limits. Psychology session every Friday. Join now. Hit the bell. One session could change your trading forever. Funding Pips. Built by traders for traders.
Welcome traders to another Trading Psychology live series at Funding Pips. Today we are going to talk about overconfidence whilst you are in profit. So I would like to dive straight into it and actually talk about how we can save your accounts with this topic, because sometimes this topic is really misunderstood, because a lot of traders don't just blow their accounts during the losses. They actually blow it after a streak of winning. And why? Because profit makes them feel reckless. They start believing they are untouchable, and the risk start creeping up and the discipline starts dropping down. And before you know it, you not trading the system that got you here, you chasing the mental high of your previous wins. So if you want to stay consistent and understand why you may not be consistent, this session may be actually for you, because your biggest edge is being emotionally neutral, not euphoric in a market. So it's about winning, resetting, and repeating the process. That's the real flex when it comes to that. So the hardest part of actually winning is staying sane. It's staying focused and staying in line with your trading plans. Because when you are in drawdown, and we discussed it during our last psychology series, at least you are more cautious. At least you are putting that focus on to get yourself out of drawdown, and you know that you need to be extra careful. But when you are in profit, this is where your brain flips a switch inside and you start feeling like you have cracked the code. Like you can ignore the rules, that you trade now bigger, and finally you made it. And that makes you being sloppy in a market, and that makes you actually chase that superiority mode, feeling that, you know what, now I cracked the markets. Now the markets do what I say. Look at my profits, look at my winning streak. And that isn't a strategy anymore. This is your ego wearing your trading account down. And that is backed actually by science, by data. According to an experimental study on overconfidence and excessive trading, confident traders don't just trade more, they actually earn less as well. Their profits shrink and they edge eventually and slowly evaporates. And that is more dangerous than drawdown. In drawdown, at least you know where you stand. But when your edge slowly evaporates due to overconfidence, due to certain behaviors, you don't notice when your system suddenly drifts and no longer exists. So what we need to understand during this session is whether you are a disciplined trader or a lucky trader that haven't yet crashed. The trader, that system soon is going to evaporate. So I want you to ask yourself questions, to do a mini self-assessment and say, okay, have I ever won a trade and felt that I am invincible? Have I ever undergone a winning streak and felt I've cracked it now? Have you ever felt like after your winning streak, okay, let's double down the next day and repeat the winners from the day before, but you actually lost it all? Have you ever made profits in a market, but at the end of the trading session, you were back down to break even? That means that your emotions are hijacking you whilst you are profitable. And that means you are not tapping to their full potential. So we're going to break down what confidence is and really understand it, and how it creeps when you are winning, and how to understand it so you can build that emotional consistency when you are trading in a market. So let's understand what is overconfidence. Let's define it very clearly. Overconfidence isn't just arrogance. It's your brain playing tricks on you and trying to distort your reality on the charts. So let's be real. Overconfidence doesn't feel reckless at first, actually. It feels magnetic. It feels like you are superior. It feels that you have that confident feeling within your body, the rush in your body, in your mind that tells you, let's go again. This is the time I figured it all out in a market. This is the time I am going to make that biggest reward that I can make. This is the time that I can pass the challenge in just one trade. And that's not it. That's your dopamine cycle that is actually going around, because a big win or a winning streak releases that dopamine. And of course, dopamine is a brain's reward chemical. It makes you feel good. But dopamine doesn't care about discipline. What dopamine wants is more pleasure. And it tricks you into believing that you are in a flow, that you have cracked the trading system, that you have cracked the markets, that you can now be superior to the markets and break the rules in the markets. But your system actually is breaking down slowly, step by step, if you don't control it. And this is where you need to allow for the logic to kick in and understand the cycle that you are going through and what is going on within your mind to reset yourself and have entries with confirmation, as opposed to starting to trade with entries without confirmation, because you think, I've made so much, I'm keep on getting away with it, I can do this. And you keep on increasing that risk. And you avoid journaling because what's the point? Now I've cracked it. Now I'm different. Now I'm finally a profitable trader. So I don't need to do that anymore. But I want you to notice, what are the first signs, not just in drawdown, but in profits, when you are undergoing what feels like flow, but actually your heart rate is up, but actually your jaw and your face is tense, but actually you are hyper focused so much on MT5 or maybe smaller time frame that you actually cannot zoom out to understand that you are about to overtrade. And this is what you need in order to understand how to stay in control and how to actually fuel that detachment from that feeling and understanding what it is that you need to do and what system you need to follow despite the feelings that you are experiencing in the markets. So confidence and overconfidence, well, there is a big difference there. And it's really important to understand it, because confidence feels calm, it breathes, it checks, it logs, it walks away when it's needed. Because as much as it is important to walk away from the charts when you are on a losing streak, it's as important to know when to walk away from the charts after winning streak. Because the overconfidence will pressure you and whisper into your ear to tell you, let's make it big today. Today is the opportunity that we're going to make that one of a lifetime reward that's going to free me from my 9 to 5 or free me from what I am running away from right now. And you feel like you've outgrown your trading rules, and that false feeling is going to make you skip your system. So this is where you bring yourself back and ask yourself, am I grounded? Or am I experiencing a high in my brain due to winning? Because those moments are going to refine your future as a trader. And this is why I want to talk more about the superior complex in trading, where that overconfidence doesn't make you feel skilled or makes you feel skilled, but actually is just dangerous. Because look, let's face it, like we said before, and I'm going to say it again, being a profit doesn't make you invincible in a market. You're just a trader, and traders are in profit, and traders are at break even, and traders are in drawdown. All of those cycles are natural. So don't allow for that overconfidence to creep in, only because when you start your account, you go straight into the profit. Actually maintain that focus and build on it, rather than engaging in more risky behaviors that are going to destroy your trading account slowly but surely. How many times have you been in profit just after you purchased a challenge or received your login details to your master account? And then all of a sudden you find yourself in -3%. The overconfidence on the charts, thinking you know it all now, has done it to you. And we said it before at the start, the research shows that overconfidence will have you earn less in the market long term. So real discipline is confidence in control, okay? Don't allow for that overconfidence to be your blind spot. And I actually want you guys in a comment section, whether you're watching on X or YouTube, to tell me whether you actually felt like this at any point, whether you started trading on your trading account after you purchased a challenge account or received your login details for the master account and you were in profit and all of a sudden, poof, you're on -3%. If that is the case, tell me and understand what is actually going on, because the more of you recognize that about yourself, the more of you will be able to put an action plan moving forwards. Don't allow for your winning streaks, for your profits to be your blind spot, because those blind spots will make you ignore your edge and break your rules. And you are not an exception to the trading system. You are one of the traders that is part of the trading system. And you know that when you respect the markets are going to respect you. And moreover, your P&L is going to respect you. Don't listen to that inner voice telling you you are on fire, that you cracked the code. You are not superior. You are just in profit. And it's okay to be in profit, and it's okay to be in drawdown. Confidence in the markets, not overconfidence, confidence in the market is earned by you following your trading system. Overconfidence in a market is assumed. It shows that you think this definitely is going to happen. And we know that the markets have a beautiful way, an artsy way of humbling us. So every single day, whether you are up or down on your trading account, go back to the drawing board, reset, re-anchor, re-evaluate yourself. Every single day, you should make sure, or between the trading sessions, depending on your trading style, or between your trades, and think, am I still following my trading edge? Do I feel centered? Or am I feeling down or high of that last win? Do I want to feel powerful, or do I want to stay profitable? Because very often that false sense of power whilst we are in profit can actually make you feel overconfident instead of confident. Because confidence is going to show you that you will say to yourself, I trust my system. The overconfidence is going to tell you, I am the system. Now I am the big person in the market that is moving it. So neutrality is, as always, our response, but we cannot avoid it because our emotions do have the P&L too. It's not just the P&L of our trading accounts. It's actually the P&L of our emotions. And sometimes when we are riding that high profit, our emotions are high. And the next day, they crash. And if you now notice that if you win in the market, you have a better day and you feel more content. And then when you lose in the market, you have a crushing day when you don't feel like yourself. That means that you are still trading based on dopamine and emotions rather than based on your system. So let's focus and speak about what's rarely addressed, emotional drawdown that follows after receiving profits. Everyone always talks about how hard it is to manage our losses, but managing our winning P&L and profits can be just as hard, if not harder, because you need to now manage the high that you are experiencing in your brain. And your brain experiences dopamine flood, and that is something you cannot avoid. That is something that is going to happen because we are human beings. And based what's in our environment and the situation that we are faced with, we will experience emotions based on that. And based on that, we will be flooded with different type of chemicals in our brains. But when it comes to winning, it is the dopamine flood, and your brain will make you feel good. And this is where you need to control the situation and understand that dopamine doesn't care about risk and about your system and about your age. It cares about repetition of pleasure. And because of that want of repetition of pleasure, this is where you will start emotionally hijack your system in the market. So this is where the psychological spiral of abandoning your rules and wanting to speed up the process of passing your challenge account, whether that's phase 1 or phase 2, is going to happen. And you need to recognize and be enough aware, after numerous of conversations that we had here in this space, whether you hear repeatedly or maybe for the first time, that's okay. But you need to have enough awareness as a trader to understand and catch yourself during that spiral. Am I still trading my plan? Or am I trading my emotions, whether those are negative or positive? Today we are talking about the high of the dopamine after winning. And I tell you one thing, when I look at some traders' P&L, I can see the emotional P&L there, because very often after the big P&L that grows and we can see their 4% profit in the market, those spikes are sharp, but the crashes after are even sharper. And very often from all of a sudden being in profit, there is a deep drawdown, because there is this emotional attachment to certain trades, to certain setups that the trader no longer is able to let go of. And that emotional volatility is going to cause you not to be neutral, but to be emotional. And again, it is important to manage that, because overconfidence will trigger that self-sabotage. And winning can make you reckless if you allow it. So let's think about what overconfidence can do. It can create over precision in a market. When you think, okay, I know I'll be right. Based on my history on the past 2 days and my winning streak and being in profit, I know I'm going to be right in the markets today again. Overconfidence can also mean and lead to overplacement, where you may start thinking, I know I'm better than other traders now. Finally, I've hit that. But then there is overtrading. That's the consequence of it, which equals lower returns, which equals actually you not trading to your fullest potential. So do not allow for that delusion in disguise contribute to your trading system, because that is going to impact your confidence and turn it into overconfidence. And we already know how that ends. And I want to see who does that actually resonate with. I can see a lot of comments, and I can see that people are saying they are stuck in dilemma. I don't have any setup. I don't know how to make one. And I can see sometimes the dilemma between the overconfidence and freeze in a market, where you do not execute based on your system. A lot of setups go by, you get frustrated. And after that frustration, overconfidence kicks in, where you actually think, well, forget about it. And then you start going off and have 3 things that are going to showcase to you overconfidence. So I want you guys to pay attention what we have mentioned: over precision, over placement, over trading, triple O. And that is your way of recognizing and staying accountable when it comes to managing your profit. Again, over precision, the belief that your ideas are now more accurate than they actually are, only because you're basing it around the fact that perhaps you had 2 days in a row when you were in profit. So you don't actually have a trading bias anymore. You need to be right, because what you want to do is you want to continue that winning streak so much, you will start ignoring the data that is contradicting you. Where you say, I need to buy here and I'm going to hold on to the buy because I'm right, because I am over precise now, because I am so accurate now. And you marry that setup despite taking a loss and then another loss and another loss, because that's your ego speaking. Then you have the overplacement. We continue with the triple O's, the second O, the overplacement, the belief that you are better than others. So even if others would say, hey, look, is it the best idea to hold on to this? Maybe you should walk away. But you kind of think, look, I know what I'm doing. I'm on a winning streak. I'm in profit. And I'm going to actually raise my risk here because I am an exception now, because now I've experienced what it feels like to be superior in the market, and I am an exception. So that advice is not applicable to me anymore. And of course, the third O is the overtrading, the consequence. Because the moment you feel invincible, you lose respect for the market. And we know that even those who are most skilled traders can be most impulsive when they do not control their mindset. So overconfidence feels like control, but it's control in disguise. It is the mimic in your brain that tricks you into thinking you figured it out and that you are certain about what is going to happen, that you are certain about the bias, about the movement, and you stop checking your rules and plan. And you're no longer trading a system. You're trading your self-image, disguised self-image, the self-image that you have built for yourself based on a history of the past 2 days or past 3 days. And the solution for that is to actually bring yourself back down to earth and think about emotional regulation and keeping your track record and following the process and following the system and still engaging in all of the processes, all of the rituals, all of the routines that keep you grounded in a market. Because that is extremely important. Traders very often think they only need to journal, they only need to check with themselves if they are okay when they are losing. But that couldn't be further from the truth. What is actually important is to regulate yourself to avoid the self-sabotage when you are winning. So how can you do that? How can you have that emotional reset protocol? Because we know one win in the markets, one big move in the markets, or even one big reward in the markets will not give you unlimited freedom. What we need to address here, and what is absolutely critical in that area and aspect of trading psychology, is to actually stay grounded and emotionally reset on a daily basis despite of our results in the market, especially after winning streaks, because success like that in the markets can be deceptive. And it's not just the markets, it's everywhere. It's the illusion of comfort, and a profitable day may lead to overconfidence, causing you as a trader to deviate from your strategy. But we know the research shows us that overconfidence is not going to allow you to achieve the trading goals that you want. So let's do the daily reset protocol. And you need to review yourself, number one, and think what has worked. After a trading day, let's say it's a third day in a row, you are on a winning streak. Brilliant. That's beautiful. But after each trading day, loss or win, identify what has worked. Identify what kind of entries did you implement. Were your entries led by logic, or were your entries led by overconfidence and you just got lucky? And what changed? Is this profit due to you sticking to your plan and being hyper-focused on execution of your plan, or is it because you deviated from your plan? And because you deviated from your plan, you got more profits. And what does that do? That creates that illusion that you can break the rules. And those rules are going to break of those rules is going to result in more profit. But that's not the case, of course. So what you need to do is you need to reinforce your habits to align with your trading plan, to align with the daily reviews, despite of what happens in the markets. If actually you want to consistently reach to rewards on funding Pips accounts, this is where you need to realign your habits, despite of what happens, despite of the results, despite of the mistakes. Mistakes happen. We still engage sometimes in self-destructive behaviors. That's okay, as long as you are honest with yourself and don't shy away from it. So this is where commitment comes into play. And whether you broke the rules, whether you have not, return to your plan. And hey, there might be days that you got lucky. And let's say today is the day. Today you broke the rule. And that rule rewarded you in a profit in the market. Not only any profit, let's say triple the profit that you would usually get. Happens, and this is where you need to go back and think, right, I'm returning to my plan. I go away with this. I'm lucky, more lucky than smarter today, and that's fine. Let me now just return to my trading strategy. No more deviation. I know it felt good and I can see reward from it, but that is going to instill that false confidence in me. So on a daily basis, you need to set a definitive intention and goal and focus on that process over the profits, over what is going on your P&L. But what does that require? Physical reset and mental reset. We know how that goes hand in hand, your physical health and mental health. Remember, your brain is your machine in the markets. This is what recognizes the patterns. This is what learns about trading. This is what can have control over. And we seek as traders control in the markets, but the real control is here within our minds, within our decisions, within how we feel at times. But times we will not control how we are feeling, but we can respond to how we're going to act based on that feeling. So physical reset. Go for a short walk. Breathe, get up, clear your mind. I'm not telling you to do anything extraordinary. You could do more. You could go to the gym, you could go for a swim, you could meditate, you could engage in a breathing technique. But the simplicity is shut your laptop or put your phone away, walk away, detach. Mental reset. Be mindful. Okay, you don't want to meditate, that's fine. But be mindful. Be real with yourself. Talk to yourself. Make that positive relationship about your trading with yourself and maintain that emotional equilibrium. And those steps, I guarantee, those steps, simple steps, will help you to maintain discipline and prevent those emotional highs when you feel like God or goddess in the markets, and highs of success that are going to lead you to the reckless behavior. And we know for a fact that actually mindfulness is incorporated in business, in trading, in sports, and that helps you to emotionally regulate and get the best out of yourself. Because again, as traders in the market, we are here to perform. We're here to attend to the charts and perform. But it is the job not of clicking buy or sell. It's the job of what we do before, during, and after. So let's put it out there. Every single day you've got an opportunity in the market. Sometimes the markets will be quiet, sometimes volatile, but the markets are there. And regardless of your previous day's outcome, just go in, focus, and do not try, please, replicate your next best trading day. I personally had the biggest issue when it comes to that. And that was the conditioning of the typical 9 to 5 job. Once you performed in a certain way the day before, you need to be better the next day and the next day, the next day, the next day. Because yes, that's how we build knowledge, through experience, through execution, and then we become better, better, and better. However, in the markets, it's about becoming better at managing ourselves, not necessarily performing better when it comes to profits and losses in the markets. Profits and losses are random, it's data, and eventually the profits and losses are going to equalize at the end and give us the P&L and give us the result. But it's not about replicating. Let's say you go 1% for the first time because you trade 0.3% on your challenges or master account, and you go 1% profit. And the next day you go into the market and you think, okay, now I need to replicate that 1% to be better today. Absolutely not. What you need to do is actually to implement better self-control and awareness into the markets in order to perform again despite of the result. So this is where also you need to understand what is your emotional blueprint. Your nervous system must match your approach in the market. And you need to kind of understand about yourself whether you are an independent thinker or whether you are emotionally more reactive. That's okay. Does your strategy match your stress tolerance? Does your knowledge allow you to actually implement the greatest edge in a market as well? All of those things extremely matter. And I must say, this is where traders sometimes don't do themselves favors. And hey, it's part of a self-explorative process that you need to go through. But this is where awareness plays such a big part, because you eventually need to understand where you are at. And most traders don't understand about themselves, whether they are more reactive or less reactive, whether they have more risky personality type or less risky. So they focus so much about the technicals, and yes, we learn about technicals because we have to. But this is where you need to start asking yourself, is my trading strategy on my entries fitting around my nervous system? Or am I just following what looks good online? Am I mimicking influencers and people who post about their rewards, and really I'm not trading my calm self, I'm trying to replicate their results because that's what we're supposed to do? Or am I building around my strengths, and instead of building around my strengths, I'm consistently triggering my weaknesses? So this is where you need to understand where you are at, because perhaps if you are a more impulsive trader, scalping may not be for you. Maybe you need to engage on higher time frame when it comes to entries, and maybe you need to trade an asset that is also calmer too. So you need to understand whether you love the rush and you fast and aggressive when it comes to trading, or whether you actually have or don't have that emotional regulation. You need to also understand what leads to overtrading, FOMO, doubling down, losing. You need to know whether you are built for fast entries, for fast decisions, or whether that is making you collapse your system under that pressure. So you need to test, need to understand. Of course, at the start, you will try to replicate other traders' success stories. But at the end of the day, you need to do what works for you. So whether you are a scalper or day trader, cool down time is necessary. Use a checklist, that is also necessary. And really focus on those high probability setups, not constant action, because this is what sometimes lower time frames can do to us. Then again, you may be a day trader or a swing trader, but you're anxious. So instead of having clean entries, you think, oh, okay, all I want to do is, enter the market and relax, but actually you keep on checking the markets and you're anxious about leaving your trades on during news events overnight, and you check the charts 20, 30, 50 times a day, and you move your stop and you over manage your trade, and actually, in fact, that is not allowing you to be your best optimal self. So again, fix those things. Are you using correct size when it comes to risk? Are you able to reduce that emotional impact and risk? Because anything that is triggering you emotionally increases the risk in the market. And we as traders need to be able to control the risk in the markets. So remember again, your biggest edge isn't just your strategy. It is how well your strategy fits your emotional blueprint. Okay? And now we are heading way towards the end. I want to say that today we will be giving out 2 10K accounts. Okay? I didn't want to say at the start, I wanted you guys here to actually engage with us, to share and to discuss together, what matters in trading, what doesn't. And one account will be given away during the session. So I'm going to ask you a question, and I would want to pick out the best answer, let's say, or the best reflective answer, and also at the end as well. So far, please tell me whether you struggle more with drawdown or whether you struggle more with profits. Also, tell me if you have ever been in a position in the markets actually where you started your account in profit, but you ended it on minus or even breaching it because of that overconfidence. So I really want to hear your experience and what kind of impact you have experienced in the market, and whether actually the topic that we had discussed today is going to give you more tools and more understanding about what needs to be done next. Okay, so whilst you are typing, I'm going to continue talking because it is important for you all to understand that profit isn't the goal. Mastering yourself and executing your edge is the goal. Is the goal to be calm and stable, and is the goal to not be reactive to the markets, and it's the goal to, whether it's a win or loss, even when we feel those emotions, not to act on it, because winning can really bend your reality and can really feed those delusions of what is possible. And this is where discipline is going to be snatched away from you. And profit is nothing more to what a loss is. Part of trading, cost of trading. So you don't need to glorify it. What you need to do is to actually stay calm and keep your mindset sharp. So it's not really about how high you're going to climb on each day. It's about how level-headed you are going to stay whilst you are at the top, whilst you are going through a winning streak in the markets, and how you are going to stay grounded during those highs, and whether the euphoria is not going to snatch back what you have worked so hard for. But let me now go to the comment section. I can see great engagement. Thank you so much, guys. But then we can see here, how can you tell the difference between healthy confidence and dangerous ego in my trading decisions? And this all goes down to watching yourself when it comes to physicality, when it comes to whether you have that increased, heart rate, and whether you're excited, what kind of emotions you are feeling. That's number one. And number two, cold check, is this in line with my system? If you are unable to tell if a setup is in line with your system, that means your system is not finished. That means you still have work when it comes to improving your system. Okay, and that is really what you need to focus on next. And I see Zach Beal saying, I struggle more with profits as I get greedy, trying to get more from the market, hence the market is retracing on me to stop loss or break even. And this is where overconfidence plays that role, because you are flooded with dopamine, and now you can go back into this session and understand what dopamine means. It's the good feeling that the markets are giving you. Number one, meaning you still rely on the markets when it comes to emotions and your decisions based on your emotions. And this is where you need to put that extra focus into that checklist, into even after each trade. Have I executed in line with my strategy? Am I clear-headed to execute in line with my strategy? How am I feeling? Is this in line with my system, or did I just get lucky? Those are the things that you need to pay attention to, because following your plan, let me phrase this way. Following your plan is the trading growth. Following the version of you that won yesterday is emotional damage that you are creating to yourself. And this is where you need to continue planning, you need to continue waiting, you need to continue resetting despite of how you are feeling. And you need to really ask yourself whether you are holding on to being neutral, or whether you are holding on to the profit, or whether you are trying to make a difference because you think now it's your break, now it's your spike where you can make it. But that's not the case. What it means to succeed in trading is to consistently take a little small piece at a time. It's not about big highs and really low lows, because sometimes the faster you make something in trading, the faster you are going to lose it. And let me remind you this. Anyone can trade well once. But what consistent traders do is they make it boring and repeatable and the same process over and over again. And that's what real trading is. So thank you so much for being here, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you all, and for you to engage and tell me what were the things that you were actually struggling with. I can see the winner. It's Trevor Official that is winning 10K two-step account on MT5. And the rest of you, I have one more 10K account to give away. And after we finish this conversation, there's live stream of Trading Psychology series on Overconfidence in Profit. I would want you to comment on YouTube in a comment section and tell us what you learned from today's session. What is it that actually created some kind of impact, something you were not paying attention to? And next week, I'm going to announce in our Thursday blog who is the winner of the next 10K account. Please remember that on Mondays on Discord, you can chat with me at 6 p.m. Dubai time, and we sometimes do quizzes, we sometimes have conversations, and you can really focus in on the upcoming week. On Wednesdays, we have success stories with successful traders at Funding Pips at 5 p.m. Dubai time. And every Friday, we have, of course, Trading Psychology live series here, where we talk about different topics under trading psychology that is important for you to maintain consistency in the markets. And every Thursday, there is a blog that is a written version of our series where you can actually receive the written information and implement it in the markets too. So thank you so much, guys. Have a beautiful weekend. I hope you had a wonderful week in the markets. If not, that's fine. Rewatch it, rethink, reset, refocus, and create the action plan. I'm going to love you and leave you, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Where success meets psychology. In Paulina's way, strengthen your mindset every week. Success story every Wednesday. Traders who broke through their limits. Psychology session every Friday. Join now. Hit the bell. One session could change your trading forever. Funding Pips.